Sit back and relax. You're listening to the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. This podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. And today is our July news roundup. We've got a lot of stories and a special guest. You will find out very soon. We have articles, stories on Asset Map, Fusion IQ, Buying Marstone, Jump, Salesforce, Altruist, an AI native wealth manager raised $60 million, Right Capital, a lot of articles here, a lot of news, lots of great stuff for you. But before we get into it, let me just do my quick housekeeping tasks. Please subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you can, give us a 5-star review. My marketing team asked me to tell you that. Check out our sponsor, the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation at investinothers.org. And speaking of news and advice, most RIAs won't admit something. Their tech stacks didn't evolve by design. They evolved by accident. They have new custodians, new portfolio management tools, new AI tools. Everything's layered on top year after year. And now leadership's wondering why their advisors aren't using the tools they paid for and why the ops teams feel things are harder and not easier. At Ezra Group, we don't sell software. We just help wealth management firms objectively assess their tech ecosystems and make smart, defensible decisions about where to invest and where to stop wasting money. We have a 90-day tech stack reboot that can give you clarity without committing you to a years-long transformation project. So if you want your tech stack to support growth, instead of slowing you down, you need to run, not walk, to our website, EzraGroup.com, and click the beautiful purple Contact Us button on the homepage to book a strategy call. All right, let's kick this thing off. All right, our first story in the news, Asset Map launches Growth Partner Program. Visual financial planning conversation tool provider Asset Map has launched Asset Map Growth Partners, a program connecting advisors with vetted companies meant to help them grow their practices through expanded reach, client service execution, and business elevation. The program debuts with 4 inaugural members: Anasova, Banrian Capital Management, PSB Lty, and WealthReach, alongside Asset Map's own subscription marketing service, Growth Studio, which provides advisors with a systematic approach to attract clients ready for an Asset Map type experience. And to help me explain this story and also to help me with the rest of the news, I have a special guest who happens to be the recovering financial advisor, co-founder and CEO of Asset Map, one and only Adam Holt. Hey, buddy.
Craig. Hey, what's up, Craig? Good to see you.
You've been waiting in the wings for me to finish that intro.
I know. That was like a very long intro.
Well, I wanted to surprise everybody that you're here.
Hello. Surprise, everybody.
Surprise, Adam's here.
Thank you, sir.
So tell us about this particular story since you have the inside track.
Yeah, I kind of have the inside track here, although my team did such an amazing job of building this without my it's interesting as Asset Map has grown, our team has grown quite large. And one of the biggest things that I think all of us are dealing with in this space, if I asked you what are the number 1, 2, and 3 challenges that advisors are dealing with, Craig, my hope is that you would answer it's the same thing for all 3. Do you know what it is?
What are the top 3 challenges that advisors are dealing with?
The top 3, they're the same answer, by the way, for number 1 or 2 and 3.
Oh, I don't know because I have a very different idea.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's organic growth. And this is the phrase that we all hear, whether you're going to Tiburon or Edge or T3. I mean, everybody's talking about that they need to acquire new assets under management, new capital, new premium, whatever it might be. And so everyone's focused on this, as many of us in the advisory world have forgotten how to sell, have forgotten how to ask for referrals. Yeah. And we've gotten good at farming and taking care of existing households. So the whole premise of this is throughout the years, certainly Asset Map as a visual planning experience, we just got requests constantly for how can you help us grow our practice? So we chose these partners based upon their ability to help advisors deal with the problems around SEO and GEO. Advisors do not know what to do with their website. So we asked WealthReach.
They still don't know what to do.
No, they still don't know. So they have no inbound interest from clients who are looking at their website. They're not found on AI tools. They don't know how to do this. So we asked WealthReach to help us. And We also asked Possibility and Chris Smith
So
to help with
possibility is
coaching.
a new
Yeah,
is relatively new. But it's PSBLTY,
that's right.
all in
Yeah.
caps. Possibility.
Possibility is a marketing and branding and coaching organization. It helps advisors really refine their brand, figure out who they want to be, and basically work up market. So
Mm-hmm.
they provide a higher end process for
Mm-hmm.
advisors who really want to just explode. And they have amazing results. So we loved what they were doing. And then also Anasova, we get a lot of requests for advisors to say, hey, I just want to buy leads. Where do I go? Anasova is doing a really interesting job for clients or consumers that want financial planning and then get stuck and then they want an advisor. So they're reaching out asking for leads. So we did a deal with them. And Banrian is really to try to help address the advisors who want to move into alternative marketplaces. So you know how many times you're in a client meeting and they're saying, "Hey, I've done really well in the S&P. I've got these
Mm-hmm.
ETFs, but I want to invest in, let's say, women-owned businesses locally. How do I do that? Or I want to invest in, let's say, recovery addiction. How are there any venture or alternatives that can get me that?" And that's what Banria does. They do the vetting for RIAs to get them access to alternative assets. So we thought this was they're great stories and they help advisors
Mm.
position differently.
So the Growth Studio
Mm,
provides advisors with a library of niche specific marketing assets, customizable templates, platform
yeah.
training, and on demand video. So, what was it that you decided, besides obviously growth is a problem? Why
hmm
is it that marketing was the area you went to for this option?
Well, I think the key here for all of us in the business is remembering that we have to attract the next generation of customers, right? Whether we're working within the families multi-generationally, given this whole wealth transfer, we don't necessarily know how to communicate well based upon the pain point that our customers have today. So we created all the materials. You could just submit to your compliance and go with it, whether it's social media, messaging, newsletters, emails, campaigns. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that's coming for niche content around working with business owners and how do you approach them with the asset map story out of the
Mm,
gate? Because people tend to love seeing their life on one page. That's what we're known for.
mm,
But we've built out a lot of capability to support it. The challenge is advisors don't know how to weaponize the marketing of it. So that's the area we needed to help them in. And I think to the point of most of my peers in the financial planning world is that we need to help clients and advisors have the story or the story they're not talking about, which is why you need to attract new business and why does assets need to come to you because what are you doing as a firm?
And so, what does the Growth Studio? What's the cost for this?
Oh, the Growth Studio is $29 a month for a product that we're going to
That's
continue to
that's cheap.
innovate. Oh, it's ridiculously cheap, but I think the key is, and I think it's probably way too cheap, frankly. But that being said, it's really something that our own customers were asking for,
Mhm.
and we know it's worth its weight in gold. So we're going to actually put in a lot of our ongoing training and credentialing inside of that cost, so that it's going to be there's going to be thousands of dollars of value in that. So, but we want to solve the problem without it being a barrier. Most
Mm,
advisors are complaining about the cost of tech these days, and they need
mm.
a quick win. And this is
There you go.
our attempt.
And to find more information, then go to asset-map.com.
That's true. That's where they can go. Google it. It'll work.
It'll work. So the next story is Fusion IQ buys wealth tech firm Marstone.
Hmm.
Fusion IQ has acquired Marstone, a US based digital wealth technology company, bringing together two platforms serving banks, credit unions, wealth managers, and their customers. Marstone was founded in 2013 by Margaret Hartigan and Christopher Levine. And its system connected with a custodian such as Pershing, asset managers including BlackRock, bank tech providers such as Q2 and Jack Henry. So Marstone we saw as one of the earlier digital onboarding tools,
hmm
and that has managed to stay around and make a name for themselves by closing some big deals and expanding their capabilities into more than just onboarding, but also being more of a digital TAMP, where they're managing the assets, rebalancing, putting them into different models, and running the whole platform.
hmm
So this acquisition, they're both going to take senior roles at Fusion IQ. Hartigan will become chief strategy officer and head of Marstone Digital, and Levine will join as chief delivery and growth officer. So, what's your thoughts on this, Adam Holt?
Well, I think this is a natural marriage here. Not really sure. Obviously, it looks like Fusion is acquiring, but I've had the opportunity to talk to Eric Knowles, the CEO of Fusion IQ. He's doing some really great work. Running. If you don't know what they're doing, they actually were they have built the kind of back end for plug and play wealth management for a bank or credit union. They want to build, and you're seeing this growth. We're seeing enormous growth at AssetMap in the credit union space and smaller banks, regionals that want to get into wealth management, trust management. They see the money, the AUM there as as banks become less and less competitive. And so Fusion IQ is effectively building plug and play wealth management back office. In fact, I even know that they can even power robo advisors for small end clients in banks where they want to migrate from CDs and checking accounts into Robinhood like things in the brand of a bank. So adding Marstone's a huge power up for them, and I think that was a really smart move for both Margaret and for Eric to kind of do this. They see a vision, and I think you're going to see much more. One of the interesting things that you see around the tech right now that's kind of going to these small and regional banks is they need a standard structure, whereas most of the RIAs,
Mm.
Craig, are going towards very independent, fiercely branded. Every advisor can do what they want because they really focus on the relationship. The banks and institutions are going for standardization, and they need a franchise experience that they can roll out to 5, 10, 100 advisors at a time so that they're all saying the same thing. And that's why where you're seeing the enterprise space really shifting is into these banks and going back to insurance companies.
I'd be interested to see if they merge the Fusion IQ onboarding technology with Marstone Digital, because right now
Mm.
Margaret's going to become head of Marstone Digital, but
Or
the
Fusion
Fusion
IQ,
IQ
yeah.
has
Hmm.
technology that overlaps
Yeah,
with what they're doing.
yeah, I think so. But that's very difficult to build what Marstone has built, and I think what Fusion IQ effectively gets is a full backbone that Marstone's proven out.
Mm.
And they can focus really on the digital onboarding, user experience and so forth. That could start becoming a real player in the bank space. That I
Mm.
think a lot of RAs and IBDs have tended to kind of like shrug off
Mm.
because they're like, oh, they're not really players. But these guys have access to a lot of clients and assets, and if they figure out the marketing and onboarding, they could start looking like mini Robin Hoods. I think that's really interesting.
They could, and Fusion does have some self-directed capabilities.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they
Right.
do offer onboarding and robo advice, plug and play for
Mm.
banks that just want a white label.
But the question is, can they keep differentiating? And there's a lot of startups that are trying to get into the onboarding space.
No, for sure. But I mean, you think about the capability of Margaret, what she's built, and the credibility that she has, and you add that to Eric, who was he was the chairman of the board of governors for FINRA. I mean,
Mm.
their networks together is palpable, and
Mm.
I think you could see something come out of this where people they've been kind of dark horses.
We will see. So there's more information you can find at fusioniq.io is their website, fusioniq.io. All right, third story in the news. Jump expands AI platform with end-to-end client onboarding tools. Jump, the AI platform that established that's in the note-taking and meeting prep space, is pushing further into the operational core of advisory firms with a new suite of product capabilities. The move signals a clear expansion of their ambitions beyond its roots as an AI meeting assistant, where the company once focused on transcription and post-meeting follow-up. It's now staking out territory across the full client lifecycle. They announced a major expansion at T3 conference in March, where CEO Parker Enns discussed their new AI operating system for advisors. Now, I was moderating that panel, by the way, at
Yeah.
T3 with Parker and Mark from Sox, which included their Meet, Grow, and Operate modules designed to manage client life cycles. And in February, Jump announced it raised $80 million in Series B funding, bringing its total capital raised to $105 million. All right, Adam, what do you think?
Well, what do I think about the fact that they've raised this much money is pretty amazing. I look, the market has changed a lot with interest rates being what they are, and of course AI coming into play. So it's first of all, a huge testament to both Parker and Mark for pulling off this kind of valuations and clues. But look, they're growing enormously, Greg, and I think they're growing too. And they made the right play here is that to solve the
Yeah.
main pain point that they had. But you called it just, I remember talking to you 6 months ago. You said that these guys are not going to stay in the note-taking space.
No.
Everybody was, I think, everybody being in the advisor community was just finding out about them and saying, oh, great, I have a note taker that's advice minded.
Mm.
I'll just do that. Once LPL approved them, they blew up. And of course,
Oh,
Soteric
yeah.
also is as well. So
And
I,
Zox raised 45 million Series B, their own Series B,
uh-huh.
in very quick order. Right? They just founded 2 years ago and they're already on Series B.
Amazing. It is
Right.
amazing. But I think that everyone knows that this space for wealth management is a space that is, has some pretty big, recurring issues associated with data gathering, and to capture that most intimate moment when we're doing annual reviews with clients is huge. I mean, think about all that data that's stuck on yellow pads that's never in any system. So it's a blue ocean for sure. But now it's a scramble, and I think a lot of advisors are seeing lots of different options: free options, pay options, approved options, not approved. We just did a relationship with Contio from Aaron Klein's new company,
Yep.
really for meeting management. We're trying to figure out, which one of these guys are gonna dominate. But I think it's the wrong question anymore. The real key is, what are you using it for? I've been really impressed, certainly with Jump and Zox. The
Mm.
advisors that use them, I think, are incredibly loyal already. They're seeing the time savings for sure, despite the fact, if you noticed, even Michael Kitz's own research that he pushed on Future Proof indicated that advisors were buying tech actually not just to save time, but rather to deliver more value. And I think that was a really interesting insight for us.
Mm.
But I think the implication here is, be prepared. These guys are going to go into lots of different areas of our
Mm.
advice journey that need help.
Oh, indeed. And we did a report last year,
Hmm.
which we on AI note takers and AI assistants, and we could see the initial ideas of them expanding beyond back then. And we did an update this year, and it was obviously totally clear. I met Parker. I got a demo from Parker last September, so it was
Hmm.
9 months ago. And when I saw what they had built, then I said, "Dude, you're halfway to a CRM."
Yeah,
He said, "No, no, no, we're not
absolutely.
doing that. We're not doing that." I'm like, "You can tell me you're not doing that, but you're
Yeah,
already halfway there." And
yeah, it's
you're
true.
turning into more than a note taker. You're turning into this platform of something that's taking over some parts of the advisor workflows. I don't know
Yeah.
what the name of that is, but you need to call your investors and tell them you want another $100 million so you can
Uh-huh.
build out this full platform. And he laughed. And then in January, they got $80 million. So
Yeah.
I take credit for that somehow. I didn't get any of it.
I think you did a great
Should have got
job
1%.
forecasting that. You told me this 6 months ago, and I
Yes.
remember your report. And I said, I was thinking, they're going to go after CRM. It's kind of the analogy like this, Craig. I love analogies. I think that, everybody asks, if you ask the old world, business world, are you going to build another briefcase? Oh, just don't. No,
Mm,
I'm going to build a backpack, and watch how everybody transitions from a briefcase to a backpack in
mm,
business. I mean, do you see anybody carrying a briefcase anymore? The
mm,
irony behind this is, I think the CRM is the Rolodex of the past. It was an
mm,
innovation off the Rolodex. And I don't think that any advisor really cared at all about entering data in their CRM, except if compliance required it, or my compensation demanded it,
mm,
or my practice was basically weaponized because I had a CRM. But advisors use 10% of it. You take a situation where you have unstructured
mm.
data, and now all of a sudden you're like, I don't need an interface anymore. So I think you're going to see an evolution from CRMs.
They have to. And the issue is that advisors don't like CRM. I've never
No,
met any advisors that
it's like the
like
grunt
using the
work.
CRM, no matter which one, right? They're all very good. They all do a good job. We've done reviews of CRM capabilities,
Yeah.
but advisors just don't like using them. And up until now, we've had a very random amount of data getting into the CRM. Some advisors are good about it, some bad. Some use copy talk and they talk their notes and they get more data in. But
Yeah.
it was very hit or miss. Now you're going from that hit or miss random amount of data to 99.9% of all the data that every client and advisor utters is going into the CRM. So you're
Hmm.
really going to have a huge improvement in RIAs and other wealth management firms' ability to coach advisors, to manage their business, and really see where things
Hmm.
are working, whether it's not working.
There's two things I think they're really interesting there, and you touch on it. I mean, Jump buying Mobile Assistant earlier, I guess it was last year now. and integrating their customers. So the people that were using copy talk style dictation post meeting
Yep.
and
Mobile
getting that
assistant.
into a
Yep.
usable data stream, I think it's really valuable. It's interesting because we rolled out our integration asset maps with Jump not earlier this year. The number one user request, interesting in this, the number one request for this was to basically take the dictation from a meeting and build an asset map and financial plan from that. So
Mm.
Jump built that. They built the capability. Do you know what's interesting about that?
Mm-mm.
2% of the actual usage of that integration is for that use case. 98% of it is actually for insight based upon what's going on in asset map.
Mm.
So the irony behind this is, and I know Jump connects to a lot of the firms now, as the Zocs, and we're going to be working with Zocs as well. So I don't want to leave them out there. But the key is that we're seeing advisors actually ask queries in these tools of what's the data say, what should I talk about, what are the questions to ask, and help me power up the communication side of my meeting, not just make it easier to put in data.
So more from the article. Jump's announcement includes their account opening capability. They can do client intake forms, document ingestion tools, and advisors can initiate client onboarding workflows directly within Jump. So I've seen a number of other vendors do the same thing. We did a report just in May on a dozen AI note takers, and we changed the name of the report to AI note takers / agentic operating systems.
I saw that. Yeah, it was really
There's
cool.
got to be something to call these guys. So the agentic operating systems that are doing more and more. But I work with Michael Keatsis on the AdvisorTech map.
Yeah, great stuff.
So we just had our call for the July map last week, and I was pitching him on another category called agentic operating system. And he said, "Why? Why do we need that? Well, these meeting tools are expanding into all these other features. They're not just transcription. They're not just client meeting support anymore." And his opinion is it is all meeting support, because that's what advisors do all day is meetings. So if you're doing more stuff, is it really a separate category, or is it just better client meeting support?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we've been playing in this category of advice engagement, right? The moment when you're actually meeting with the client, but this huge amount of the effort and where we monetize is in the execution and back office of it. And that's really where I think we're starting to see real acceptance of AI is in the back office, not so much the front office. I think a lot of advisors are fearful of putting that in front of clients, and I know we'll talk about that. Obviously, we've got some really cool announcements.
We actually have more stories, and
let's talk about them.
We're talking too much about this, but it's a very interesting stuff to talk about. So you can find out more information about it's jump.ai is their website. Jump.ai. Okay. Next story is also an AI story, and it is a CRM story. Salesforce launches Agentic Advisor as AI note takers threaten CRM dominance. That's some headline. I think it's from Investment News. Yeah, Investment News.
Investment News.
Salesforce, CRM provider with significant presence, working up a defense against the threat of external AI-powered tech providers with a rollout of new Agentic AI suite. They unveiled Agentic Advisor, a suite of 6 AI-powered capabilities built natively into its agent force for financial services platform. The launch arrives as AI-powered startups, including the likes of Jump and Zocs, are quickly rolling out features that threaten to disrupt the roles CRM systems traditionally played in driving advisor-client relationships and business development. All right, so what do you think, Adam? What do you think?
Well, it was a great segue, by the way. I think just to patch on here, it surprises me that Salesforce, as big as they are, didn't come up with their own note taker 2 years ago. I mean, they could have owned this space. And the reality is that CRMs, especially in larger institutions, are hygiene items. You have to have them, and the back office needs them. They need the data. They need the insight, and they need the portability of data as advisors move around. Right, when you're thinking at a large scale. But I think Salesforce is not really used by the smaller RIA shop today. They're used by the big enterprises, as we know, the dominant players.
Well, you'd be surprised. We run into a fair number of.
Is that right?
A billion. Well, let me say smaller. A billion, is that small?
Not anymore. Well, yeah, I'd say that's still small.
I consider it small. Under 10 billion, I think is still small.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I don't think you need Salesforce if you're $1 billion RIA, unless you have multiple offices, you're growing fast, right? But we see $1 billion, $2 billion RIAs with Salesforce, and they're just being dragged down. It's like an anchor.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. It's a big tool to carry around for sure. But I think it's about time. It's interesting that they're going to try to leapfrog. I mean, you get Salesforce has enormous, obviously, capability, and you do know that they've been on
Mm.
an acquisition spree. I think the interesting thing about Salesforce is that the credibility in the larger enterprise space. When we talk to very large banks, insurance companies, broker dealers, you can see the trust on Salesforce. No one gets fired for hiring Salesforce and spending 10, $20 million a year on them. But boy, implementation is really tough. And I think if they're going to leapfrog here and just come
Mm.
out with agentic AI, which will actually execute a lot of your work, that could be really interesting for the big companies that are just crying for a
Mm.
solution that already works with their enterprise system.
So Salesforce Financial Services Cloud holds between 4 and 7% market share among
Okay.
advisors, depending on which survey you look at.
Hmm.
I think T3 survey was something 4 or 7, but
That's got to be low, though. I
could
mean,
be low.
right, because it puts Wealthbox at basically like 30 some percent too.
Right.
We know that it depends on who you're surveying in this one,
Mm.
but I think T3 is probably not getting the broker dealers, the institutional broker dealers.
So the centerpiece of the Salesforce agentic launch is their meeting concierge, which is their note taker,
Mm-hmm.
generating briefing documents from client history ahead of appointments, providing real-time guidance during conversations, automatically drafting summaries and assigning follow-up tasks, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we've got a note taker too at Salesforce, but is it too little too late?
It's a good question. I think for the large companies that run on Salesforce, if you give them a plugin that they could just do and they don't have to do diligence in another company, we're seeing an enormous pushback right now on the number of companies. You look, even in your tech map, imagine all those 500 some companies have to call a broker dealer and say, hey, can you approve us for use in your community? Those guys are overwhelmed. I talk to the institutional managers. A lot of advisors are aggravated because they can't get a tool approved that they like. They want to use it. It's because the teams are backed up. They got 100 submissions for tools. They got to put them through InfoSec, SOC 2, Type 2. They've got to vet them. They got to do financial audits now on these companies. It's not easy. So if you get a company that like Salesforce that's saying, hey, just use our tool, we're already approved. We got the data stuff worked out. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be easy for large institutions to just say yes and not have to bring on some of these newer players. And that
Mm-hmm.
is, of course, why it's a race.
Mm-hmm.
Jump in and Zoc specifically, Contio
Yep.
to follow. I
Well,
think also
Concierge
G
also, there's
reminders. Yeah,
Zeppelin, G
yeah,
Reminders,
that's right.
Cognicore,
That's right.
Millie. Yeah, we said G Reminders. We had 12 specific financial advisor AI note taker slash agentic operating system things. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
I leave a couple of them out.
Absolutely. No, I'm sure. Even Pulse 360, obviously. So there's lots of players that are in this space, and each of them have a kind of unique value proposition that either.
I got a call from one of the industry news outlets. I can't remember which one it was. And he
Mhm.
emailed me and said, "Oh, I'm interviewing the CEO of blah 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 UK company
Okay.
that's launching a note taker in the US. What should I ask him?" And
What's his strategy?
I said, "Was that really the best idea you had? It's like a note taker in the US? Like you're coming from England, you don't know anything about the US market, and that's what
Oof.
you're going to jump in on." But
There you have it.
what are you gonna do? So there's also a lot. I'm on Twitter X all the time,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of commentary about Salesforce. And Salesforce, they say Salesforce is buying AI companies faster than Wall Street can punish them for it.
Hmm.
Because Salesforce is down 40% their stock price on the year,
I saw that.
right? So, but they keep buying up companies. So I guess they believe that getting all this IP and other content, or all these different maybe talented people, then maybe it's a talent acquisition play, maybe it's a client play, that it's going to make up for the possibility that part of their business could go away with AI.
Yeah, I think that's a huge risk. I mean, Salesforce also bought Slack. Slack
Mhm.
has great, adoption even in our own
Not
company. We
really.
love it.
No, that's
You don't think
an
so?
example of how they failed.
Why do you say that?
Well, look at it. I mean, when they bought Slack, if you remember, it was before COVID that
Hmm.
Slack and Teams had
Hmm.
similar market share.
Hmm.
But then when Microsoft offered, instead of Salesforce offering Slack for free
Well, that
or
was it.
very
Yeah.
cheap for all of their clients, they raised the price. Whereas Microsoft said, just take Teams, it's built in.
Uh-huh.
And Teams went from 0 to 100 million users, even though
Hmm.
it sucks. Everybody hates it.
That's right.
right? But they use it because it comes with the Microsoft package. So Salesforce missed that opportunity to package Slack as part of Salesforce,
Hmm.
and now it's still the same number of users, like 7 or 8 million, 10 million users of Slack. We use it, but
Yeah,
it's
you
nowhere
and I
near what it
both
could
use
be.
it. That's the
Yeah,
funny part. I mean, the people who are loyal to Slack are loyal to it, and I agree that it might not have been the best financial transaction, but I think
yeah,
if you look at um, the kind of look, the Salesforce is going to still be around because it has loyalty, it has data, its size, its reliability.
mm,
It is hard to move off a CRM when you're an enterprise. So those
correct.
guys are expecting their cash flow to continue for 10 years.
I think they're going
They're,
to be the
they're
last
going to,
ones pushed
yeah,
off the mark. I think the smaller
for
firms
CRM,
will
yeah.
get pushed off quicker. And
Hmm.
Salesforce, just as you mentioned, because it's hard to uh, dethrone them once they're in your environment.
It's
So
piping.
this
It's piping. You
this
got
guy
it.
on X, Thomas Smale,
Hmm.
had some really good stats here. So they're buying a bunch of companies. So they
Hmm.
bought a company called they bought Informatica and Data 360.
Hmm.
Their AI related ARR is nearly 3.4 billion. Agentforce ARR hit 1.2 billion.
Hmm.
Q1 revenue grew 13% to 11 billion. After the May earnings beat, the stock surged 19%. Salesforce issued 25 billion in debt, cut free cash flow guidance, and is spending like a company that believes standing still is dead.
Hmm. I think that's true though.
Yeah,
Isn't standing still death in that market? It's got to make sense. So they've
I
got
think
to
in every
deliver
market,
much more
especially
value.
software. Yeah.
No, everybody's got to deliver more value for the same amount of money. And
Mm,
this is look, I think they're probably replicating where that success in Teams just had by giving it to all their users at Microsoft. And you're right, that has
yeah.
become the bellwether in Microsoft institutions.
There you
But
go.
Salesforce rolling out an AI, an agentic AI is
Mm.
it's the right move for them for sure to give it to their customers,
It's
right?
the right
People
move.
will just use it.
Yeah.
You use it, you pour more data. Data's hard to move.
All right, I'm closing all my windows here. Okay. Salesforce, you know where to find Salesforce. I don't need to tell you where to find that. All right. Next story.
Oh, this is a big one.
Altruist.
This is a big
This is a
one,
big one.
man.
This is more AI. Altruist opens up the waitlist for Hazel's AI agent for financial planning. Da-da-da. Altruist giving early access to their Hazel financial planning AI agent. Company launching, targeting August for a general launch of the feature. They declined to say how many advisors have signed up. Creating a comprehensive and customized financial plan typically takes 18 hours to build, they said, but this tool takes a couple of minutes. Combines clear client insights and deep analysis of the financial documents to create a comprehensive financial plan. It presents these advisors with an interactive, customizable experience that transforms client meetings from presentations into live, educational planning conversations, said Ken Vincent, head of business at Hazel. All right.
Hmm.
Adam Holt, you probably don't even have any opinion about this. So
Yeah, I can't imagine why I would have an
why would
opinion
you have
about
an
this.
opinion on this?
This is literally what I've said on stage for 2 years. Is that this is going to happen,
I
and
know.
it's hilarious that Jason Wank and his team is the first to
Mm,
bring it out. I
yeah.
look the argument for the math of financial planning is so ripe for AI to just obliterate.
Mm,
Here's the interesting thing. I'm going to be curious to see. Altru has brought through Hazel brought out a tax service, right? That kind
hmm
of starts to compete with tools that will like a list plan. And even wealth.com who brought out kind of a tax module, kind of
hmm
tax
Everyone's doing tax
return
now.
module. Yeah, everybody's got it. You got to do it. It's becoming
Nitrogen
just
launched
like
the
a
tax.
state. Nitrogen, yeah.
Nitrogen launched the tax module
FP
too.
Alpha has it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and look, we're talking about another level note taker. Advisors have been kind of ignorant on I'll say ignorant, but not been great at communicating the real implication of tax return management because they're relying on the CPAs to do it. And it turns out the CPAs are not really doing it. And so I think it's a great growth opportunity for advisors to talk about
Mhm.
tax. So Hazel kind of empowering that at a custodial level in AI for a low cost point. I think something like $50 a month. It's a great move for them, sure. And they know the loyalty of data. And I think that's a really interesting. Jason has always been mindful of saying, how can I give my advisors who are on my platform more value for being on my platform? And he's
Mhm.
got clear, overhead is much different than Schwab, right? Like the
Mhm.
the kind
Much.
of
Yes.
legacy exposure of what Schwab has to,
Mhm.
how much kind of cost Schwab has to run their business.
Oh yeah.
Altruist theoretically doesn't have the same cost because
We
of
did some
digital
work for
first.
Schwab a couple of years ago, maybe
Yeah.
5 years ago, on their UMA platform.
Mm,
We suggested changing a form. And they
the
went,
form.
that's going to be it. That's 6 months to
Yeah.
get anything changed. And they showed, like, if you look at their workflow,
Uh-huh.
there's, it's so huge. It's like it's gigantic. I'm holding my arms out as far as I can. They showed us a Visio diagram that was like 6 feet long.
I imagine.
And
Well,
because
the fact that they had
that's,
a diagram in the first
yeah,
place is pretty impressive, as
I was
opposed to
impressed with
just
that.
call Joe and Joe knows Mary and Mary works with
No,
two
they
teams in
got it
India. And
documented at the yin
yeah,
yang over
forget
there at
it.
Schwab. They really know what they're
Uh,
doing, but they got the legacy business,
yeah,
right? So they got
that's
a
right.
huge legacy
Look,
that
and
because,
people don't move
yeah.
off it. You know what it takes to move. And look, Jason is
Mhm.
attempting to attract, and an Altruist is attempting to attract advisors who want to be digital first and their custodian. And I think they are gonna be the
Mhm.
next TD in a sense, right? In terms of
Mhm.
size, that is
Right.
kind of the projection. Certainly, the valuations are based on that.
So the
Um,
company said financial planning tools will be priced similar to their tax planning capability, which was
sure,
released in February. As a standalone product, Hazel Admin AI is available for $50 per seat per month. It
there
costs
it is.
$125 a seat with tax planning.
Yeah, so but and this kind of goes to the point, right? If in fact they come up with a credible financial planning tool, but let me point this out for all of us advisors that might be fearful of that. And here I'm a financial planning company, and I'm
Right.
not afraid of this. And the reason is because at the end of the day, the advisor still needs to communicate it. And one of the things we've seen a lot of advisors hold on to their financial planning tools, legacy tools they've had for 10, 15, 20 years, because they understand the logic, the math, and they know how to present it and look like a rock star based upon how you navigate your planning tool, especially if you're doing it in a meeting. We know this from Asset Map too. If you have a process, a sales process, a review process that's based upon your planning experience, it is really hard
Mm.
to get the advisor to change and now all of a sudden trust an AI that hopefully did something right. They can't go inspect the number on line 52 and say, oh yeah, I see where they carried this. They didn't do that. They forgot that. And advisors pride themselves in that level of inspection. I think there's a lot of concern for advisors about putting something crappy in front of a client. And so they'll be slow to adopt this. That said, there are plenty of free tools out there that'll do financial planning. I've seen companies like Bolden do stuff that is, literally like they tried to knock off Right Capital and make it free and give it away
Mm.
to go D2C. So I really think that the math that we see from
Mm.
financial planning is not going to be the differentiator anymore. It's all going to be
Mm.
in the meeting and how you're gonna communicate that in confidence to the client.
Well, I think all the AI note takers slash agentic operating systems are going to launch financial planning tools.
Well, that's what he's doing, right?
Right.
He's using Hazel to power a financial planning
Right.
engine that's
But
just been
I've seen the
trained.
other
Yeah,
ones do the same, right? All the ones we just
yeah.
spoke about, or
We're
all
going to
have
see all
some
of them.
sort of
Yeah.
financial planning light like
No,
features.
we're doing it too. We're going to be rolling out something in the next
Mm.
the next quarter too. We're going to have
Right.
financial planning assisted AI inside Asset Map. So I
Right.
think all of us are going to have it. The question is who's going to win in disproportionate share on how we approach the problem.
Yes. Well, that's always the issue. Who's going to win? Who is going to win? All right. So if you want looking for more information on Altruist, it's altruist.com. All right. More AI news.
Imagine that.
I can't believe it. How can there be more? Right
Okay.
Capital launches Iris AI agent
Mhm.
to streamline financial planning workflows. Right Capital launch, blah, blah, blah. The creative financial plans. Launch is meant to offer advisors an intelligent tool that can help interpret client data and provide immediate actionable insights without disrupting their existing workflows.
Mm.
It represents an AI agent capable of directly analyzing client information within the financial planning software, intended to assist advisors by reviewing profile data, identifying planning consistencies, and executing retirement simulations in real time. It features three core capabilities. Um, double check its double check function scans client profiles for missing information or data inconsistencies that
Mhm.
could affect plan accuracy. One more thing, the cash flow review feature highlights critical planning considerations, including anomalies, assumptions, risk, potential gaps that might create future financial concerns. And there's something
Mhm.
called Plan Builder, which allows advisors to set probability targets and receive three customized strategies based on adjustable variables like retirement age or living expenses. It sounds like all the things we already have in financial planning, just in a new package. Like we've always been able to do those things, haven't we?
Yeah, I think, but the key is just they're pushing to say that the AI can be effectively an automatic paraplanner, right? Bring
Mm-hmm.
up the things that need attention. This is, I think, how almost all of us, even e-money, is going to be moving towards help the financial professional identify the things to talk about. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is really that's that's the frontier where advisors need more help, right? If you're an experienced professional, you're going to bring up already the three or four things probably that you can help with. The question is, are you going to bring up the 10 things that aren't getting attention and then know how to prioritize them? I mean, look, the challenge with the AI stuff is that it's so robust. It could give us a 15-page report on what you should do better. But the reality is a customer is going to do like one thing maybe. And right, because behavioral finance comes into play and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't handle it. Like,
Hmm.
so unless the advisor has the capacity to fix everything from my budgeting, cash flow, my tax, my estates, like,
Mm-hmm.
it begs the question. Like, I think that it's a really interesting power up. I want to see it used. I'm really concerned that advisors are going to be overwhelmed by this AI stuff, and they're
Hmm.
just going to go revert back to what they know, which has made them money for years. And it's not broken, don't fix it. So I'm really kind of curious. I think it's the right move for a right capital because they kind of really
Oh
they
yeah.
look at what's working out there and they just copy it and they just they implement it. They've got that
Mm-hmm.
model. Um, but I don't. I'm really curious to see what will actually get adopted, and that'll be the
Right.
key, I think, also.
So the launch builds on Right Capital's AI momentum following its
Mm,
smart import feature introduced
smart, yeah.
earlier in the year. The tool reduced manual data entry time by at least 70%, according to the company,
Hmm.
by
Yeah.
automatically extracting relevant information from uploaded documents. So I saw that. Now, eMoney has something similar, and
Hmm.
I'm sure Money Guide will come out with something. That's
Uh-huh.
something that we don't hear a lot about. Up until now, and you know better that just as well as anyone, and we
Yeah.
do as well, working with our clients, a huge moat always existed in financial planning of all the plans you have in PDF files, hundreds or thousands of them
Yeah.
that can't be converted. And that was the big deal. Well, I don't really want to get pro, I want to switch to e-money. Now you got to do every single plan all over again and
Yeah.
re-enter all the data one by one as you meet the clients through the year. And everyone hated that. Now, eMoney's got a tool, Right Capital's got their smart import feature that you can take all the PDF files from your other vendor, suck
Hmm.
them in, it'll build up all the plans for you. I'm sure it's not 100%,
Yeah.
but
It's not
maybe it's
100%.
50%. That saves a lot of time. 80%, who knows? Whatever the number is, I'm saving tremendous amount of time converting if I want to. So that eliminates that moat.
So I think that the theory of this is brilliant. The execution of it is a whole nother story. And what
Mm,
I'm hearing back from the field is, I took that, I had it ingested. The tool said it was just going to
mm,
save all this time. I get in there and I find one error. Then I find two errors.
mm,
Then I find three errors. And now I'm thinking, you know what? This entire soup is probably spoiled. My last three bites have basically some weird tasting
mm,
stuff in it. And now all of a sudden you have a distrust situation. And now after the third time of doing it, the advisor's like, I can't rely on this.
mm,
I still have to inspect. And so so I saved 20% with the hope
mm,
of saving 80. And I don't think we're there at perfection. I think the marketing story is fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
mm,
I love the idea of telling me I don't have to do data entry ever again, except to find out that my entire job and relationship with my client is based upon me putting accuracy in front of them and then finding that wrong in the meeting. That is not what I want. So I think we're going to see you still need the inspection. Let's not like pretend that we're going to delegate all our work to AI and it's everything's going to be great. I'm just going to charge twice as much for half the work. That's
mm.
nonsense. And I think we run real risks for the advisors who just trust it and move on until they get caught with their heels. So I think we're going to see not only that, we're going to see fines. Well, we're obviously there's been some awareness of real FINRA fines associated with misuse of AI because they just trusted it without checking. So that's the only caution. I think the idea is fantastic. Yeah, you can't have 99% accuracy in our business. That's $1 million fail. And
Yeah,
so at 1%.
there you go. Okay, so rightcapital.com if you want to learn more about their Iris
Cool.
AI
Keep
agent or
innovating.
their smart import feature. All right, well, we'll do the last story here.
Okay.
AI native wealth manager Arca raises $64 million. Ron Rexa, former
Hmm.
product leader at Plaid, came out of stealth mode with his new company, Arca, an artificial intelligence native wealth management firm, raised $64 million, including $15 million seed round led by Venrock, which, by
Hmm.
the way, also is a investor in Altruist,
Hmm.
and $48 million Series A round led by General Catalyst. Arca had added Bill McNabb, former chairman and CEO of Vanguard, and what do you know, Jason Wenk,
There you go.
author Morgan Housel. All these guys are board members. Peter Crawford, Alex Tran, and Nat Levy Westhead at General Catalyst. Right.
Hmm.
According to Arca's former ADV, They were seeded through Granite Bay Wealth Management, a New Hampshire-based firm. They are with Wells Fargo Advisor Network prior to launching. In May, they acquired Sandbox Financial Partners. A lot going on with 680 million. Now they have over a
Wow.
billion in client assets and 28 employees. And Altruist is their custodian. They want to do a high-touch advisory service, but using an AI infrastructure to handle the manual, repetitive work. So, what do you think of these guys?
Well, I think you're starting to see little communities form here. I mean, this is clearly an Altruist. McNabb is also highly connected to Altruist. And what's interesting here is, McNabb is a prior leader of Vanguard,
Mm-hmm.
right? The world's largest, I think, still the largest direct-to-consumer investment manager, and showing how important they perceive the financial advisor. So I think this is an interesting bet, a still continued investment in the financial advisor as a critical role. So I think that people should see that actually behind the tea leaves here. But I also think that it's interesting because we're starting to see real players who are rebuilding infrastructure from scratch, or just building it from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
that has the capacity to handle scale, unlike we've ever seen before. If you think about a financial advisor's world or a life, how much of that work is either delegated to expensive staff? We're reliant upon them. I say expensive with love, as well as a huge infrastructure of compliance or requirements. It makes it really hard to do business and creates moats.
Yep.
You want to make business easier? Make it easier to do business. Get rid of the friction. And I think you're seeing them invest heavily in back office execution, alternative investments, expansion of the kind of capital that advisors can get access to. And that, I think, could be very compelling for where advisors might want to move, or certainly look at it for the practice that they manage.
And just a note: General Catalyst is an investor in Anthropic,
Mm.
so they might know something. They've got 900 portfolio companies. Arca is just one of their. They've got must be 100, 200 fintech companies. Circle, they're really in up to their necks in this. So this is could be something interesting. So this is Arca. I don't know. It's Arca Wealth. I don't have the link, but I'm sure you can Google it and find out what they don't have. I'm looking at the wealthmanagement.com story.
Mm.
So I do not know the link to Arca Wealth, but I would imagine more firms would be doing the same thing. Dump our
Yeah,
whole back
people are
office and
choosing. They're
bring in
choosing
AI.
their direction, and they're choosing their partners for sure.
There you have it. All right, man. I think we've run the course of all the stories we wanted to talk about.
That's great. Well,
I'm
thanks
just
for
going to
having
do
me. I
my
appreciate it.
bumpers at the end and finish this up. Thanks for being here.
Of course. No, great to see you.
All right, we're at my favorite part of the news. I'm talking about the WealthTech Map editions for this month, for next month, for July. So as you know, Michael Keatsis and I work on the WealthTech Map together. We've been doing it for over 7 years now, 7.5 years. It's available at keatsis.com. You can look it up anytime. And I'm going to go through the applications that we added this month. There were a lot. I think there were 11 new applications just this month. I'm going to go through them in alphabetic order. First up, Advisor Economics. So this was approved under the Business Intelligence Metrics category. Now, full disclosure, Michael is a co-founder of this company. So he flagged that up front, but it still gets added to the map. And I did the approval there. So it wasn't, reduced the bias a little bit. I did take a look at it, of course, and it is a good application for advisors. I'm not saying you should sign up for it or anything, but you should take a look at it. Positioned as a low-cost alternative to traditional industry benchmarking studies that used to run a lot of money, and they're charging $20 a month for this. The differentiator is a QuickBooks integration, giving continuous dashboard updates instead of a once-a-year static report. So you can check that out. Let's see, Advisor Economics website is advisoreconomics.com. The next version of your RIA needs better numbers, co-founded by Michael Keatsis. Next is April. That's just the term. That's just the word April. April, their website is getapril.com. It is in the tax category. So it does tax planning, filing, and year-round tax intelligence directly into their wealth management workflow, gives advisors real-time visibility into client tax documents, workflows, deadlines, and insights, while enabling more efficient coordination with clients and tax professionals in one shared system of record. That's getapril.com. Cherish Buckets. Interesting name. That's probably one of the most interesting names we've seen, certainly this year. Cherishbuckets.com, the bucket model selection tool. So what is this? This is going into the retirement category. It was approved, pretty uncontested. It's very clearly a retirement bucket strategy tool, and that fits easily under the retirement modeling concept that goes under retirement. Next is Fast Tracker AI. This is a little difficult to spell, that there's no E at the end, Fast Tracker, which is really old school fintech, like Flickr and things. We had drop the E. So fasttracker.ai is their website, and it's going in digital onboarding. According to the company, it's an AI native end-to-end platform built for advisor transitions. When a team of advisors and the staff moves from firm A to firm B, Fast Tracker helps them run the entire move for every client household, from initial data collection through to repapering. Sitting on top of this is an intelligent project management layer that gives the team full visibility, proactive alerts, and insights so nothing slips between the cracks. Fasttracker.ai. Next is Finterest, not Pinterest, but Finterest. It's called, the website is Go Finterest, not Get Finterest, but GoFinterest.com, and it's in the prospecting category. Finterest is a compliance-first AI client acquisition platform for advisors. It combines AI lead sourcing, multi-channel outreach across email, LinkedIn, and phone, AI copilot that drafts, personalizes, and qualifies. Built compliance first with pre-send reviews, audit trails, and one click on subscribe. It's a flat per seat monthly tier, $1,000 a month for 2 to 10 seats, $4,500 a month for 11 to 50. GoFinterest.com. MyDocSafe. That's a very good name. I know exactly what that does. MyDocSafe. Actually, we put this in. I think we were arguing about where this should go, or not arguing. We were having a spirited discussion about where this should go, because to me it looks more like that they're. If you look at their website, mydocsafe.com, they've got proposals. Seems to be a big part of their project, of their delivery, their value. But then they've got portals, and it's a document vault. So we weren't sure where to put it. So this one might not have gotten in to the map because we couldn't decide what category it went in. We wanted more information from the vendor, but maybe we did put it in. I can't remember, but I have it under client portals. We'll see where it actually appears. It's mydocsafe.com. Then the next up is Newfin AI, spelled NEUFIN.ai is their website. And Newfin is an agentic behavioral intelligence layer for advisors, detects client churn risk, suitability drift, and behavioral anomalies. It's all very interesting stuff. I think we approved this under investment data analytics. Now, they had submitted themselves under client portal, but we felt the pitch was so heavy around behavioral analysis. But the actual functionality, feeds the client's portfolio and their objectives, then flags drift and generates an investment memo, which to us is essentially, it's more investment analytics workflow. So they can appeal that and say, we believe we're more of a portal, and we're open to that. But it seems to us that if advisors were looking for this product, they would look for it under investment data analytics. So Newfin AI. All right, 3 more. Presented. It's really hard to spell. Presented. This is not a great name. Presented, because it's just how you spell it. Prezentd. So no E and the S is a Z. Presented. I don't like it. Client deliverables worthy of your firm in minutes, not days. Advice engagement is the category. It's an AI agent that lets advisors build their own custom financial planning materials, typically client-facing. They can build one-page plans, review sheets, their own process-branded financial plan deliverables, scenario models, tax reports, you name it. Presented.com. And the pricing, according to the website, Starter $149 a month, Pro $199 a month, Team $279 a month. Seems reasonable. All right, next one, QuantCalc. QuantCalc.app is their website. That's going under retirement. QuantCalc helps financial advisors stress test retirement plans with institutional grade Monte Carlo simulation in the browser. Every run computes 10,000 paths to estimate plan success probability with a portfolio optimizer, tax-aware withdrawal projections covering RMDs, Roth conversions, and state tax side-by-side forecast comparisons. It's all exportable to PDF client reports. The Advisor Pro tier of QuantCalc is $249 a year. That's quantcalc.app. All right, last one, Stratanova Capital. Stratanova.io is their website. They're going in the investment data analytics category. Let me see if we have any comments. Nope, I don't have any other comments written down. Stratanova maps RIA equity and ETF holdings to economic exposure using revenue segmentation from SEC filings rather than the GICS sector label or fund names. Interesting. Advisors run a client portfolio through the platform and see its true thematic concentration across 45 proprietary themes, including ETF look-through via holdings data, revealing where a diversified-looking book is actually concentrated in a handful of economic drivers. All right, their pricing is billed monthly, tiered by AUM, $600 a month for under 300 AUM, and up to $2,500 a month above 3 billion AUM. So you can check them out. The website is stratanova.io. We did have one category change. That's all the additions. One category change, a company called Tandems, which used to be SigFig, but it's now tandems.ai. We had them in the onboarding category because SigFig for many years was a digital onboarding tool, and they had expanded into more of a digital TAMP as well, managing clients' assets for advisors. But they have pivoted. And while digital onboarding and digital investing remains a core part of their business, according to the company, much of their recent product innovation has been in client meeting optimization, support, and advice engagement. So they've been asked to move to client meeting support, and we moved them there. So now Tandems is in client meeting support. It's tandems.ai. And that's it. You've reached the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Thanks for listening. But before you go, please head to our website, ezragroup.com, and scroll to the bottom of the homepage and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, and updates. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.